Hello, March, and hello, a lot of changes in March. My friend, this is our Sidereal astrology forecast for the month of March 2025. We have got lots to talk about. We've got that alignment of our planets. We've got major planets moving into new signs. We've got a retrograde or two happening this month. So I'm excited to dive on into all of the things. So welcome back to the Cosmic Mystic, where we blend strategy and soul work to help you build a soul-aligned life and business that fully supports your soul's mission. If we have not met, I'm Danny C. Muniz, your inner work gal, cosmic mystic, and creator of the Sacred CEO framework, designed to help you stay grounded, aligned, and abundant as you expand your impact. For over 12 years, I've supported hundreds of conscious leaders in doing the deeper soul work, the work that is required to embody their highest expression so they can lead with confidence and authenticity. Each video here on the channel is your guide to working with the energetic currents within and around you so that you can align with your sacred rhythm and deeply step into a place of alignment where you get to create from there within your purpose. My friend, let's dive in to this month's Sidereal astrology forecast. As you know, I love to do the state of the planets, so we're going to dive in with our state of the planets right here. As you can see, as we kick off on March 1st, 2025, we've got some planets. So up in here, this is the alignment that you have probably been hearing about. This alignment is taking place in Pisces. Most of our planets here are in Pisces right now. As you can see, we do have a couple that are in Aquarius that will be moving into Pisces this month, which will give all these beauties here the energy of Pisces. Now, before we dive any further into this, I want you to keep in mind, we're going to talk a lot about Pisces here, but if you recall in our January forecast, I talked about how this is the year of 9, and the year of 9 is the ending. It's the ending of a cycle. As you'll hear today, Pisces is also the ending. And so this alignment here really is just on a very basic level, my friend, is what are you aligning with? Where are you out of alignment? What needs to shift? What do you need to let go so that you can step into the true alignment that is for you, that opportunity right here? With an ending always is a new beginning. And so we want to take this time right here within this year to do that deeper soul work. Make sure that we are letting go, that we are releasing, that we are stepping away from those loops, those patterns, the things that are keeping us stuck in the old so that we can move into the new. So let me continue on with our state of the planets. This is a very important time for us, and so I want to make sure you know that. All right, so we've got our sun here in Aquarius at 17 degrees as we kick off the month. It will move out of Aquarius and into Pisces later this month. We've got Saturn here at 26 degrees Aquarius, which will also be shifting towards the end of the month into Aquarius. Our North Node is currently in Pisces. Mercury is currently in Pisces, actually moved into Pisces at the end of last week into the weekend. And so Pisces is where Mercury currently is. It's actually going to be going retrograde in Pisces this month. We've also got Neptune here in Pisces. We've got our moon currently here as we are leaving that new moon energy. With Pisces, we've got Venus here in Pisces, who will also be going retrograde this month, and we've got Chiron here in Pisces. Now, if we come over to here, we've got Pluto on our right in Capricorn. We've got our south node down here in Virgo. We've got Mars over here in Gemini. We've got Jupiter over here in Taurus, and we've got Uranus over here in Aries. Now, I do want to give you a heads up that Jupiter and Uranus will both be shifting signs as well as Chiron this year as well. And so these major planets do create a very big impact in our world, in our collective, and within when they make these bigger shifts. So we'll talk about those as those are coming up, but these are definitely on the horizon, my friend. All right, let's dive into our sun and what we have going on as we kick off this month. So Sun is still making that square over here to Jupiter. We're going to see this fall off on the 8th. We had this carry over from last month, which is the only transit for the Sun that we're seeing really hang over here. And that is that energy of confidence, of luck, of being very proud, of making it really difficult to focus on one project at a time. Jupiter's got that go big or go home energy. Now let's talk about some of the new ones we have here, which is the Sun trine Mars, which we see kick off here at the beginning of the month. Now, Mars is that motivation, is that drive, is that willpower. So right off the bat, there's this boost in self-confidence, enthusiasm, wanting to get things done, understanding what motivates you is actually really beautiful to do this time of year. I am going to be teaching a class on motivation and how to work with motivation and how to understand your motivation, because I don't believe you should be in that hustle mentality of like, I gotta like grin and bear it and muster up the energy to do this thing. That's not how motivation works. We also don't want to wait until we're motivated. Let's tap into what naturally makes us step into motivation and learn all about that. So I'm going to be teaching a class on that really soon. So pay attention. Be sure to keep note here because that's going to be coming really soon. Okay, what else do we have here with Mars? We've got a very strong and courageous energy here. We've got a really increased drive, whether that's that drive and motivation towards something or in other areas of our life. So that is the Sun with Mars, and that's going to be here for the first half of the month through the 14th. So really kicking off this month, really trying to move forward, right? Mars was in retrograde. It's ready to like move forward. And so it really is moving things forward here. Now, a couple of the conjunctions that we're going to be seeing, you're going to hear me talk a lot about conjunctions, and that's because we are seeing this alignment, right, of the planets here. So first one I want to talk about is this Sun that is going to be conjunct Saturn, which is pretty much going, whoops, I'm like, why is that not working? It's because I have it on days, Danny. You have it on days. All right, here we go. Right there, we see the conjunction kick off on the 5th of March, and this will be through the 18th of March as they start to move, they're moving through into this Pisces energy, but the Sun will move past Saturn and keep on going, and Saturn will stay there in Pisces for a bit. Right now, though, we do have them both in Aquarius, so let's talk a little bit about those. Saturn and the Sun, and remember, whenever we're talking about a conjunction, we are talking about, I like to look at it as these are roommates in a house right now. They're Saturn is chilling, it's doing its thing. The Sun comes and it's paying Saturn a visit. And so they're influencing each other. They are bonding. They are sharing their resources together. So with the Sun and Saturn, Saturn is that disciplinary. It's very patient. It understands responsibility. It understands our boundaries. And with this connection with the Sun, it wants to be counted. It wants to be seen. It wants to be recognized for what it's been doing, for its work. It wants to, good job. It wants that pat on the back. And so a lot of hard work, discipline, and patience paying attention to what our obligations are, what our responsibilities are. We may even take on some extra responsibility or feel like we need to be more responsible, or we need to get things in order, right? Like we're feeling scattered and it's like, I just need to get things in order. That can feel like that a lot. It can feel like you're not far along, like you should be further along, that you haven't quite met the expectations. A lot of that could be coming to consciousness right now, to light for you right now. This is a time of, it could be a time, I should say, of insecurity and hardship, because it's almost as if like the sun's like shining the light here for Saturn on, I thought you said, last year when we talked, right? I thought you said you were going to be doing this, and why haven't you done that yet, right? And so it's kind of like that feeling of like, oh man, you're right. I did say I was going to do that. I lost track somewhere, and that's fine. But let's figure out. We don't have to dwell in the past of it, because Saturn can easily take us there, right? It can easily keep us trapped in the past of like I'm not good enough. I suck at life. I should be better, right? I should be further along. All those shoulda, woulda, couldas. Let's say, okay, you're right. I did say I was going to do that. Why did I lose track though? Was that not as important to me as I thought it was? Maybe there were other things that were a priority for you, or maybe you're realizing some patterns or habits or belief systems that have stopped you from moving forward, that have gotten in the way of you stepping into that thing that it was that you desired. This is a really beautiful time for us to evaluate some of these things. You also might find wanting to isolate a little bit, or you might have difficulty expressing yourself, especially with Mercury in Pisces, kind of creating that really dreamy aspect as well. And it going retrograde, there could be some of that also coming forward for you. This is really a beautiful time to uncover and remove the dead weight. Remove the things that are complicating your goals. Your goals can be super simple. They don't have to be crazy. Whenever I do goals with my clients or in Sacred CEO members, it's always very simple. We put it in very simple terms, and we create actions and affirmations that are simple for us to understand, simple for our mind to grasp, so that we can take that action and we can keep moving forward. All right, let's talk about the other one coming here, which is coming here on the 8th, and that is the sextile to Uranus. So the sextile to Uranus is going to be here from the 8th through the 19th. Now, whenever the sun is, connected with Uranus, there is always these new and exciting adventures. It's like, okay, we are going to go on a new adventure, and this new adventure is going to be an increased awareness of self. So you might find that you're going to get some insight, some feedback through personal interactions with other people, socializing, and all of a sudden having somebody say something to you and be like, wow, I never realized this thing that had been bugging me, or the answer to this question that I've had for so long, and some random person in a random conversation just spotlighted something for me that I could not have known. Creativity is also really heightened here. So getting that whatever you like to do to express your creativity is really, really a good opportunity to do so now. Things that are unorthodox, out of the box kind of energy, this is all Uranus. Sticking to a routine might be a little bit hard because Uranus wants to do something different, wants to shake things up, wants to try something new. So keep that in mind, that you're like, I don't really want to do this. I want to go do something else. That is Uranus. It wants to try a new way of doing things. And, with us being in Aquarius for most of that time, even amplified even more so here, because Uranus rules over Aquarius. All right, let's go into the next one, which is the conjunction with Neptune. that comes in here on the 13th. So you're going to see these guys getting closer and closer in here, right in here. So we'll see the conjunction here with Neptune begin to happen. We're at 6 degrees right here. Now, Neptune being the ruler of Pisces and it currently being in Pisces there, you'll see the sun is right on the last days here of being in Aquarius, but then it's going to move into Pisces and it'll even amplify this energy even more all the way through to March 25th. This is increasing your sensitivity, your intuition, your empathy. So right there, my friend, I'm going to tell you to protect your energy. Clear your energy. Be cognizant of your energy. This is where those daily practices of making sure that you are grounded, that you are clearing your energy, that you are releasing in some way, shape, or form, whether that is by using some sort of crystals to clear your energy. Essential oils are always my second favorite way to clear my energy. Visualizing, clearing my energy, breath work to clear my energy. There's a million ways that you can do this, my friend, but staying grounded and clearing your energy, disconnecting, unplugging from the world, the collective consciousness is going to be key as we move into this transition with the sun and Neptune, especially as you'll see some of these starting to build, right? We saw that Saturn conjunction. Now we've got the Neptune conjunction. We're going to see Venus and Mercury later on this month. And so as all of these energies are hitting into Pisces and connecting, I'm going to, my friend, grounding like no other, clearing your energy, really being cognizant of what is coming in and what is getting released is going to be extremely important. So setting boundaries is always going to be something I'm going to recommend because you can get, Pisces loves to just expand its energy out as far as it can. And so it's going to grab on to things, right, and try to fill spaces where it feels it can. And so boundaries are really good for you to take count of and notice and be aware of, maybe where you need a stronger boundary or where you need to reevaluate a boundary that you might have. You also might find that the spiritual world is a little bit more stimulating or interesting to you. So you might be wanting to dive into things that maybe you hadn't dived into before, that you're curious about, or you want to take a deeper dive into. This is also, it's one of the most spiritual signs, Neptune, and really connected to topics of the occult, right? So astrology, spirituality, metaphysics, those are all topics that you might want to explore during this time. The other thing that I'm really going to encourage you to be mindful of here is wanting to go into escape mode, because all of these energies are aligning in this energy of Pisces, and so much so with the sun conjunct Neptune, is this can really, it can be intense, it can be a lot, especially if you're highly sensitive or empathic. We can really start to feel this and we'll want to escape from it, right? Instead of evaluating what is coming up and making sure we're really honing into our spiritual practices, which is one of the reasons why cosmic alignment I started in February. I always start it during an air season, and I really wanted to make sure that we were going through most of March, if not all of March, because I knew these planets were going to be coming into alignment and there was going to be some major shifts. And part of that practice in cosmic alignment is a daily practice to help you clear your energy, to help you set your intentions and be very mindful of what you are participating in and what you are being conscious of in creation. And so there is the tendency here to use escapism, to escape into movies, escape from reality, using any type of medicine or drugs or plant medicines that might take you away from being in the reality, right? Drugs, alcohol, those are all really ways that we can escape. Games are another way that people, right? VR. Don't get me wrong, VR is super cool, and I enjoy visiting it. I do not like to live in it, but it can happen, right? We can choose these things and not realizing we're choosing these things more so because we're trying to escape from dealing or understanding or moving through something that is coming up for us. All right, let's talk about the shift from Aquarius to Pisces. So Aquarius has been very much in the logical thinking, exploring alternative ways of doing things, bringing in unexpected changes, right? We've seen a lot of that with Aquarius season as our sun has been transiting through Aquarius. But right here, it's actually at the very end of the 13th into the 14th, we're going to see of March, we're going to see the sun move into Pisces, as you can see here. Now, Pisces is where we have this really thin line that starts to blur reality, imagination, deeply intuitiveness, and creative energies. So this is where we embrace the more spiritual exploration, the artistic expression, and definitely more introspection. So Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's the final, it's the end. So this brings a lot of astrologers will say, and I 100% agree, that this wisdom that all the zodiac signs have is carried within Pisces. And so it's like we have all of this wisdom, we have all of this knowledge, all of this experience that we now come to some conclusions. And when we come to these conclusions, it's like, oh, okay, I'm ready to start new. I'm ready to start over. I'm ready to begin again, which we'll see with Aries, where we hit the ground running. But with Pisces here, as we're in this sensitive time, this is going to be a time for you to call on support that you are going to need, right? As we move through the transition, maybe you're not aware of some of the things that are ready to come to an end. Maybe there are things within the subconscious, right? Things that you aren't able to see, where a guide, where somebody can help you move through that energy, move through those thoughts, move through those belief systems, move through the things that are connected to the past so that you can move forward. Pisces is a water energy. It's ruled by the planet Neptune. And so there is the ebbs and flows of the energy of Pisces, which is why staying in reality can be very, very hard especially with our sun and the consciousness, right? Our conscious energy wants to get lost in the daydream, get lost in the other realms, right? We want to make sure that we are staying as grounded as we possibly can so we don't get lost in escapism, for sure. Things like dancing, walking meditations, movement that is more somatic based are really good right now. Really, really good channels to move through the energy. Finding ways to move through the energy with like creative expression. If you like to draw or write, these are all really good ways to express some of those feelings that you might be having coming up. The other thing is here that I want you to be mindful with Pisces, and especially because all of these planets, right, are here in Pisces. So as I'm saying this for the sun, I want you to also consider all these other planets being in Pisces and how that can be blurring some things here, because that is one of the things that happens with Pisces. There's this rose-colored glasses idea where you're only seeing the highlights, right? You're only seeing the good. You're only seeing the positive. It's almost like that toxic positivity, right? You might hear out there where people are talking about. It's like, I only see the positive stuff. I say this all the time. I was at a networking, like a convention, women's conference. There you go. It was a women's conference. And one of the girls was like, oh, I'm so excited that I've almost gotten rid of all of my shadows. Like, I'm a bright light. And I was like, whoa, you know, that's not the goal of shadow work. That's not the goal of a spiritual awakening. That's not the goal of, you know, personal development. The goal is to understand yourself. You know, I have this really strong feeling around, you don't need to be healed, my friend. You don't need to be healed. What you want to do is understand yourself and understand why things are happening to you, why you have belief systems that you have, why you decide to do certain things, the loops, the patterns, the ideas, all of that. That's what you want to understand so that you can move through this. I don't want to get rid of the shadow aspects of myself. I want to understand them and why they are part of who I am so that I know when I'm stepping into that. And not to say that I shouldn't ever step into a shadow aspect of myself, but I can evolve that aspect of myself. I can invite it to do something different. It's a lot of the work that I do when we're talking about entities. And when I say entities, I'm not talking about that creepy thing that's lurking in the dark, although that's a possibility. We're not just talking about that. We're talking about the things, the ideas, the collective thoughts that you might get wrangled up in that are wanting to kind of take your energy, so to speak. So my friend, keep that in mind as we're navigating this through Pisces, right? There is some of these things that can come forward for you, which is why it's important to stay conscious, to stay aware, to notice the things that are coming up for you. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to some of the other things that are happening. You know, our sun, there's a lot happening with our sun. The rest I'll tell you is going to be quite easy, but there is a lot happening with our sun. So let's keep on moving. We've got our sun sextile Pluto. So we're going to see that come in here on the 17th. And so right there it is. And so we'll see, we still have these conjunctions here. We'll talk about Neptune in a second, but we've still got this conjunction here with Saturn. And now we're bringing in this sextile over here to Pluto. So Pluto, it's got that drive, right? It wants to bring in that power, bring in that control, bring in that determination. So there's more obsessive compulsive tendencies here where it's, I got to get the thing, I got to do the thing. Or even more so with this Pisces energy of wanting to escape and get addicted, right, into that addictive behavior. So if you're somebody who has a tendency toward addictions, whether that's, you know, addicted to yoga or addicted to drugs, whatever that might be for you, there's this energy of wanting to do that thing and really get obsessive and compulsive around it. So just be aware of that. Be aware of power and influence, both that trying to be placed upon you and you trying to place it upon others. Notice, are you wanting to step into your power more? That is also something that can happen here. Really, again, we're talking about Pluto, so we're diving deep into topics here. Whatever you might be curious about and wanting to really dive into it. All right, let's move on to the Sun and Venus. So on the 19th, we're going to see the Sun connect over here with Venus in this conjunction. You'll see right here, we've got Neptune and Venus, and then you'll see that these are both retrograde, right? So we'll talk about Venus and Mercury retrograde in a second, but we've got this conjunction here starting with Venus and the Sun on the 19th through the 25th. So it's about a week. This is a lot of love, affection, creativity, beauty, art, social connections are really, really inviting during these times. Like you're wanting to get together and, you know, share your dreams, share your perspectives on things that are ending and why they might be ending. That's the party I want to go to, that's for sure. All right, and then the Sun conjunct Mercury we'll see pop in here on the 21st. And look at, you can see they're getting even tighter. The moon, the Sun has moved way over here, right? past Neptune, past Saturn. All right, and so we've got, with Mercury here though, we've got to focus on communication, thinking, short travel, adaptability, curiosity, a lot of personal action, a little bit more of a busier time. Even though it is retrograde, we still see a lot of busyness start to happen. There's a lot of fluttery energy here with Mercury, and so we'll see a little bit more of that, but really more of that deep connection, in that deep understanding of each other, that empathic energy, that intuitive energy, that creative energy. These are all really prominent energies, especially when we see the Sun and Mercury hanging out here. All right, and then the last one for the Sun here we're going to talk about is coming in on the 30th, at the very end of the month, and that is a sextile over here to Jupiter. So earlier in the month, we saw the square, right? The square over to Jupiter. But here we see this sextile over to Jupiter. So I do want to talk about that because it's coming in at the very end of the month, and it will be through the very first part of April. But there's a lot more optimism, energy, starting new things, really good with Jupiter here on your back with this sextile. We'll also be getting ready to move into Aries season. Growth is really prominent here, especially on a material and spiritual level, especially because we're talking about this being in Pisces. Group activities is really fun during this time. It's actually really favored. Anything that you can do to add into that social energy is really prominent here at the very edge of March, beginning of April. All right, let's head on back to the beginning of the month. I want to talk about two of our lunar energies that we want to highlight here. And the first one's going to be on the 14th. And that's at 1:52 a.m. Central Time, because that is my time zone. We're going to see our full moon in Leo. So our moon will have moved into Leo. Our sun will be at the very, very edge of Aquarius. And so we will be talking about a full moon in Leo here. And when you look at this full moon, you're going to see that we have the opposition to all of these planets here. We've got a sextile over here to Mars and this trine over here to Uranus. So the theme here with these guys is really this final, like, letting go and the preparing, that's a better way to say it, of this new entryway, right? This new entryway that we're seeing with these planets in their full alignment. So Saturn and the Sun here being conjunct is causing a little bit, right? When we talked about that responsibility and I'm not good enough and I need to be doing better and wanting to really truly let go of that. And so any of the things that you're like, I've been doubting myself, or I don't feel like I'm worthy of this, or I'm capable of this, this is a really great moon to let all of that go. Any of that doubt, any of that uncertainty, any of those expectations that you might have placed upon yourself, this full moon right here, my friend, is time to shine. We've got the Leo energy that's like, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be understood, that in a way that fits for me, which I absolutely am in love with this full moon. I can't wait for this one. The second one that's happening is over here on the 29th, right at the very edge of the month. We're going to see our new moon in Pisces. So this new moon will take place at 5:57 a.m. Central Time on the 29th. You can see this really beautiful sextile with this new moon. So this new moon, some of the themes that we'll see with this new moon, first off, being in Pisces, it is the idea of endings, of things coming to conclusions, of things coming to an end as this rebirth is about to happen. With the sextile over to Pluto, though, it's bringing up some of those deep emotions that have been buried deep beneath the surface, right? Wanting to bring them forward, especially with relationships. This is a time for you to evaluate some of those bad habits or addictions, maybe, that are beneath the surface, so in the subconscious. It's almost as if we're cleaning house here, both literally and metaphorically, as we're preparing, right, for that next stage. There's a reason why people talk about, spring cleaning, right? As we move into spring, it's like we're clearing out the old and making way for the new. And that's really what this new moon here is, that last little bit of clearing before we enter our new year. If you did not know, in astrology, the new year starts in Aries. So for us in sidereal astrology, that happens in April. So we are right now, as we're moving through this last month, this is like that final end of the year. So you can think about it, if as a calendar year, this is December, right? We're coming to that end here. We're getting ready for the ending so we can celebrate the new that is coming in. And so you can use that as an idea with this particular new moon here on the 29th as that final piece of clearing things out so we are ready for the new year. All right, let's dive into more that I want to share with you for March. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple of things here. I'm not going to go into all the things. I really wanted to go into the sun because there's a lot happening there, as you see, but because of all those planetary alignments, it was really important that we talked about all of those conjunctions that were happening. So let's dive into Mercury. Now, there's a few things that I do want to point out. I do want to point out some of these conjunctions because I think it's important for us to look at how these guys are connecting in this period here. I also want to look at our Mercury retrograde. So first, let's look at the conjunction here with Venus that happens on the 6th. All right, we'll see this conjunction here with Neptune, and then we've got Venus coming in. So Venus and Mercury encourages more personal interaction, communicating, and it all being really nice and pleasant and supportive and encouraging. This is it's a good time to get in touch with what you love, especially when it relates to other people or people in your life. What do you love about them? How can you express that to them? How can you share that with them? Telling somebody that you love them and that you appreciate them is really, really good during this, especially if it's also around siblings or your neighbors or neighborhood, bringing people together. This is also really good. Mercury and Venus is very good for diplomatic issues. So needing a place to have some negotiation and diplomacy and resolving conflicts is really good. Finding peaceful settlements to disputes is really, really good here as well. Creativity, artistry is really prominent as well. And because Mercury and Venus together, really contracts and negotiations are really prime right here. All right, let's look at the conjunction with Neptune, which is actually going to happen later in the month on the 23rd here. And you can see we've got the conjunction here, the Sun, Venus, and Neptune pulls in there. So again, Neptune, we're going to shift that thinking into more spiritual topics, mysteries, occult, secrets are also things that can come up here. This is a really great time for that imagination and that creativity. Also, pay attention to the insights that you're getting through all of this time of alignment with these planets, what you're receiving in meditation or breath work or journaling. Pay attention to those things, but also notice the things and the signs and the symbols that you're receiving as you go about your day, because our guides, our higher self, they are always trying to deliver information to help support us. And so pay attention, especially during all of this Pisces alignments that we're seeing with these planets. This is also something that you want to pay attention here is misconceptions, confusion, paranoia. There can be a lot of that happening here, especially with information. And so there's a couple of things that I want to caution you of, and this is going to be one of them, is information that we're receiving through this time. Pisces can distort the information. As I've said before, when we're talking about Pisces, there's a distortion that can happen where we're only seeing right through the rose-colored glasses. And so I want you to be mindful of that as well. The final one I do want to talk about for the conjunction is going to be with Saturn. It is going to come at the very edge of March on the 29th here, and we'll see it pop in later in the day. There we go. As Saturn moves into Pisces. So Saturn will be moving into Pisces here on the 29th, and it will be in there for a bit, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But here with Mercury and Saturn, our mind is sharper. There's more of a seriousness that starts to come in here. And so we could get into mental ruts where we're dwelling on negativity. We're dwelling on issues. We're wanting to isolate more. There's more coldness here. This is where you want to pay attention to detail, pay attention to the long-term planning, and really having a goal, something that you're working towards. Serious conversations, discussions, these can also take place here. Mentorship is also, whether you're receiving mentorship or you're giving mentoring to somebody, this is also something that is a big play here during when we see this conjunction with Mercury. All right, let's talk about Mercury in Pisces, and then let's talk about this retrograde that we are going to be experiencing, I should say. All right, so Mercury in Pisces. Now, Mercury moved into Pisces on the 27th of February and will be in Pisces because of the retrograde all the way through May 6th. So we've got a few months here with that energy being in Pisces. So let's talk about Mercury in Pisces. Mercury tends to expand our thinking. It tends to allow for more intuition or intuitive thinking to come through. It's almost, our minds are so vast and there's limitless possibilities here. So creative inspiration, spiritual insights, deep intuitive knowing is coming through. And a lot of times we doubt that, right? And so really stepping into trusting ourselves, trusting our intuition is going to be really, really beautiful with Mercury here in Pisces. Expressing yourself where it might be challenging, could be through some type of expression of art or creativity. It's almost as if like the thoughts get lost, and so an easy way, like you're not able to communicate it. And so a really easy way to do that is through some sort of creative expression. It might be through something that you draw or that you write out or create in some way, shape, or form. I'm a crafty person. I like to do crafts, right? So I might be creating something that is helping me move through and communicate something. Heightened imagination and creativity. We've kind of talked about that already. Dreamlike focus, fluidity, pay attention to your dreams. Might have a really big insights coming through with the dreams. Might have really crazy dreams during this time as well, as things are wanting to come through and for you to bring into your consciousness. Opportunities in business are also, like business growth opportunities can also be really big here, because we're looking at new ideas and embracing that limitless thinking and being able to focus on what can be done rather than the limitations that you might be seeing, because Pisces is so expansive that I want you to think beyond, like even just like something as simple as the way that you intuitively receive messages. Sometimes we wait for those to come in a meditation, or we wait for those to come through a reading of some sort. But what about if that comes through as you're walking through the grocery store and you see a particular fruit on the table, right? It can come through any number of ways. And so there's a limitless ways that these insights can come through to you. So pay attention to them, because you never know what could be coming through for you. All right, let's move on to this retrograde that we're going to have here. So the retrograde is going to take place on the 15th, right as the sun moves into Pisces. So we'll see it kick off in its retrograde along with Venus, and it will be conjunct that Venus energy. So anytime Mercury is retrograde, all it means is, from our place on Earth, it appears that Mercury is moving backwards, which is an opportunity for us to reflect, to rewrite, to refocus, to rethink. And so there could be, with Pisces here, some mental fog, not quite seeing things clearly. Misunderstandings can definitely happen in communication. It's like it's hard to get the things out, right? And especially with that Saturn connection, hard to say the things that we need to say. We find some difficulty in it, difficulty in articulating our thoughts or what's happening, right? So double check those appointments, those details, those contracts. Make sure you're really checking for that, because things are unclear, especially with Pisces. Reflection is super important during any retrograde. Reflecting on anything that has happened, any nudges, intuitive nudges or downloads that you might be receiving, reflect, reassess those, what's going on. Daydreaming is probably pretty common, right? Pretty easy to do during this time. So refining things, allowing yourself to get more creative, or if you're challenged with something, for something to come forward through that daydream idea, where in Aquarius, I would have told you to brainstorm ideas. In Pisces, I'm going to tell you to daydream, to get creative, to work on something creative and allow it to come through, not three. Don't force the clarity here. Embrace the intuitive reflection. Embrace the feeling into things here, more so than thinking them and having them clearly defined. Mercury is going to help us move things forward, but we've got to take this time, the stillness, to rethink. All right, let's talk about Mars. And there is only really one thing that I wanted to talk about with Mars, and that is Mars is going to be moving in. You can see right here on the 31st, it's at 29 degrees Gemini. It is going to be moving out of Gemini and into Cancer in April. So we are preparing for this last stint here in Gemini before it moves into Cancer, which is going to move us from that really fast moving, thinking, learning, social type energy into that more emotional type energy. Mars is going to slow down a bit, and it's going to get all up in the emotions. So I wanted to just give you that little tidbit as we prepare for Mars to move into Cancer in April. All right, next up, we've got Venus. So let's talk about this Venus retrograde that I've kind of been hinting at this entire forecast here. So right here go back on the 2nd of March, right there, we'll see Venus move into retrograde. So Venus in retrograde. Venus is our love, beauty, money, our values, what we value. And so anytime Venus goes retrograde, which she'll be retrograde all the way through April 12th, all the way through April 12th. So we've got about 6 weeks or so where we can sit and reevaluate our relationships, evaluate our money belief systems, our energy around money, our energy around relationships. What relationships are serving us? What relationships are not serving us? Where things that we value, how are we aligning with those values? How are we honoring those values in our day to day? So Venus is a really beautiful time to look at your money, look at your finances, like look at the beliefs you have around your finances, look at your relationships and what's serving you and what's challenging you, and what is ready to be released from there. And then looking at what you value. What do you value in your life? Your core values, and how are you living those core values more? How can you at least live those more in your life? So Venus being in Pisces, it's also the things that are coming to an end, right? What is your relationship with spirituality, your spirituality, whatever that is for you? What is your relationship? What are your practices? What do you do to strengthen that relationship for yourself? Really good time to look at that as well. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about with Venus is the sextile that's coming here on the 11th, which we're going to see for about 20 days through pretty much the end of the month here. And this is this Venus sextile Pluto. Again, Pluto is a little bit more deep and intense. And so this is really deepening our love into a very, very deep, intense level. There's obsession that can come here with someone or something where you can't seem to shake it out of your mind. You can't get rid of it. It's like it's stuck there. New romances here for those of you that are in the dating scene. This is like a whirlwind that can happen here with Pluto. There's a bit of a whirlwind, and because it's in retrograde, and because we're talking about Pisces here, it could just be a little hazy daisy. We might not quite see all the things. It might feel magical and dreamy and romantic, and it's like, this too shall pass. It's just a little phase. It's just a little swirl. So just be mindful of that. Existing relationships can really deepen on a spiritual level. Be careful of trauma bonding here, something that's really wanting to come through. Be very careful about bonding over similar traumas or trauma that you've experienced even together. Sometimes that can take a relationship into a deeper level and not necessarily in a good way. So just be careful of that. Secrets can always come to the top. It can come into the surface. It can come above. With Pluto, or secret relationships can also happen during this time, or could potentially be found out about as well. So just things to definitely be mindful of. All right, the final things I did want to talk about is Uranus, one of our major planets here, is going to be moving into Taurus. So Uranus has been in Aries for about 7 years, and it is ready to move out and move into Taurus. So in Uranus, that has been a lot of action-oriented fire energy, right? You think of Aries, and it's just like, it's quick, it's fast, it's really fast. Like in the past 7 years, I can tell you there's been a lot of changes, right? Both within myself and just in the world, how things have moved really, really fast, right? Unexpected things, just quick and fast. With it moving into Taurus, it is going to slow things down a bit because with Taurus, we stop and smell the roses. Now, Uranus doesn't like this because Uranus loves to move quick and fast. And so it's loved being in Taurus. But now that it's moving into it's loved Aries. Now it's moving into Taurus, there's revolutionary shifts in stability, in our resources, in our values as a society. And so because Uranus is that planet of change and innovation, we're going to see more of this come to light. Taurus is grounded and it is security seeking. So there could be some tension between the desire for stability and yet the demand for transformation. So there's these things that are, we're wobbling up against because we're wanting to create some stability, but transformation is happening. And so there's that tension that is being created here. So expect innovation, expect disruption, expect shifts, especially in banking, in how we work with money. Social Security is also something that's really big in play, and I'm hearing is going to be significant in this next 7-year period. Land ownership is going to be there's going to be a shift because remember, of that material idea, there's some shifts in land ownership for sure. How we create wealth, currencies shifting, material security, what used to feel like our stability and what made us very stable is shifting, is changing. Not all change feels beneficial. Not all change feels like it's leading us somewhere, and this can definitely be the case here. It's going to be important for us to be able to differentiate between true innovation and just mere disruption, because sometimes there's things that happen that they have to happen in order for a change to happen. And it might feel like, why are we doing this? Why are we going down this path? But this has to happen in order for the next thing, right? The next step to take place. So expect some, I tell you this because I know that we've had a lot that has happened in our last 7 years, and it's moved very fast. We're still going to be moving, and we're still going to see a lot of change and transformation because we're talking about our stability and our security, which is for many of us really primal, right? I'm a Taurus, so I 100% do not like change. Even though I would love to say I embrace change, I'm here for it, give it to me, I struggle with it. And so I tell you that because I know how it can feel, and it can feel like, can't we just get a break? And although it is going to be a little bit slower, we're not going to see it as fast, it's going to be deep, and it's going to be big shifts. It's going to be big movements, especially in some of the areas that I already talked about. Our agriculture, nature, physical resources, a lot of that's going to be changed. Outdated beliefs, in our own personal growth and self-discovery. There's just a new way that we're going to be operating in this world that is ready to come forward. And so I invite you to step into that, as much as it can be scary, and as much as change is often not the easiest thing to do. There is this shift that is wanting to happen for you, if you allow it, right? If you allow it. As much as I hate it, change is inevitable. We are always changing. Everything is changing. Resisting the transformation, though, resisting the change is where that turmoil comes in, right? Now, I'm not saying just go along with everything. We've got to confront our fears. We've got to confront stagnation. We've got to confront the outdated attachments, and allow for our own liberation, allow for our own renewed purpose. Just keep in mind that it's redefining stability for you. So you might want to take a look at yourself and say, when I think of stability, what does that mean to me? How have I created stability in my life? And noticing what that feels like as we move through this, because it's gonna feel like, the ground is ripped right out from under you. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that to prepare you, right? To do whatever it is. So you know that, okay, the rug has been pulled out from under me. I'm going to be aware that stability means this to me. And where can I go and find that right now? How can I have that stability as we move through the transitions that we're having? A lot of people are struggling in many, many different ways for many, many different reasons right now. And so I would invite you to look at some of the things that you do have control over, because we don't have control over everything, my friend. We like to think we do, but we don't. there are certain things that you can control, and that is how you are perceiving things, how you're interacting with things. The things that you're choosing are completely up to you, despite what is happening in our outside world. Now, the last one I want to talk about here is Saturn, because Saturn is going to be moving into Pisces, and Saturn is, again, one of our bigger planets. It's more of our collective energy, and we're going to see it move into Pisces for its 2-year stint. It'll be just over 2 years, because it's going to go all the way to February of 2028. Right here, we'll see it move into Pisces. So let's talk about this, because Saturn is our structures. It's our institutions. It's our government, right? It's the big corporations. And so with Saturn in Pisces, we're redefining boundaries. We're redefining that intuitive, spiritual, more holistic ideas. And so Saturn is that planet of limit and structure, where Pisces is like fluid and intuitive. And so these are coming to ahead, right? They're hitting each other. The fluidity, which I like to look at Pisces being more of that feminine energy and Saturn being more that masculine energy. These two things are coming together. Now, you would think that would be beautiful. Let's combine the masculine and feminine. Yes, but they are very opposite, right? They are very, very different. And so it's like an unorthodox coming together of these two, where Pisces encourages trust, imagination. Saturn's real. Give me the practical, give me the grounded. And so there's a balance here, right, of understanding of compassion and critical thinking. Getting lost in illusion or manipulation, and being able to be practical and logical. So after its stint here in Aquarius, where it's really been in its full power, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Aquarius, in past ideas, was ruled by Saturn. It's been in its full strength. Now it's asking for it to be more flexible, more intuitive. And that's not Pisces vibe. That's not Pisces vibe in any way, shape. I'm sorry, that's not Saturn's vibe in any way, shape, or form. Where Saturn generally shows us our boundaries and our limitations, it gets a little blurred. It's a little blurred here, which can lead to a lot of misinformation. There's cult-like movements that we might see with this transition. Idealizing the media, idealizing politics, in a way that is making it really difficult for one to think for oneself. And that is going to be one of the struggles, but also one of the beauties, is us really coming back to thinking for ourselves. Critical thinking is key, my friend. It is absolutely key. And so really being able to decipher the illusions that may be presenting themselves, which might seem as the right thing, and I'm going to use that in quotations here, the right thing. It's an opportunity for us to really put on our critical thinking hats and not blindly follow anything at this point. Don't blindly follow anything, but really come to really good discernment for yourself in what feels right from your perspective in what you believe, okay? So really deep introspection is what I'm going to invite you to do. Trusting your intuitiveness, your guidance, your intuitive system, that inner guidance system that you have, your discipline, your perseverance, is going to be really, really, really beautiful here. So say no to things that are draining you, things that are manipulating you, especially manipulating your energy or your influence on something. Really trusting the gut instincts, more so than the logic. Really feeling into like that says that, but there's something off. Like, pay attention to that. Deep self-reflection, my friend, is going to be key. So whether that's meditation, journaling, therapies, counseling, healing work, to navigate some of Saturn's lessons that are wanting to come forward for you, differentiating between vision and illusion. Not all that glitters is gold, my friend. Question everything. It's one of the biggest things that my love has taught me, is to question everything. Don't just take something that you read, that you see, that somebody says as fact, as truth, but really dive into what it is, what is actually being said, not just the headlines, because there's a lot of that going to be coming through, even more so in these next couple of years. The last thing I would say, again, I know I'm going to struggle it myself, but change. Be open to change. Allow yourself to move through the change, navigating uncertainty. All right, my friend, this has been your sidereal astrology forecast for the month of March 2025. We've got lots going on, and it's going to be more important than ever for you to stay grounded, for you to stay aligned, so that you can move through these challenges and really grow and soar and really see the beauty in all of it. If you're looking for support on your journey, whether that is in life or in business, I would love to be your guide. I'd love to be your mentor. You can find ways down below that you can work with me, or just schedule a call and we can talk and see if I am a good fit to be your guide. I would love to support you on your journey this year and beyond. My friend, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy this month and all that it is bringing. And remember to keep shining your unique light.